Cinebois to Cinemen, episode 102.
102.
Hope you're well, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. This week, Sirât.
Sirat, a film we chose ultimately over... I was going to say the station agent. It's not that. It's the secret agent.
Every time we spoke about either films, when I mentioned the secret agent, you kept calling it that.
Yeah, I know. I realised that.
You really wanted the film to be called that.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I'm not quite sure why. I know that film is a lot older. It's like 2003, I think. Anyway. And about something completely different. But there we go. No, we ended up watching Sirât.
Yes. I actually watched Secret Agent as well.
Yeah.
Just because it was an excuse to catch up with an old friend. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really liked Secret Agent a lot. Actually, probably more than I did Sirât.
Yeah.
But hey ho, it's a film that's I think there's quite a lot of buzz around it. It did very well at Cannes. And I think it's got a couple of potential Oscars. Well, no, that sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. What I mean is that it's been nominated for some awards in technical categories, which I think it's probably quite deserving of.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know enough about sound design to really appreciate it fully, but from what I watched, it was like that did add to the experience quite significantly, considering its sort of visual sparseness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our first world cinema film in quite some time as well. That was another one of the reasons we sort of landed on one of those two films.
Yeah.
We've been very...
we've been very westernized, American.
Well, yeah, more American, haven't we? We've been very American for quite a while. So
yeah.
Nice to break away.
Definitely, yeah. I always like these sort of forays into world cinema. It breaks it up a bit, and also these films don't get as much podcasts said, like especially in the kind of like from what because I like searching up the films that I've seen just to see what podcasts are already out, and they don't tend to get as much attention. So it's nice to break away from the mainstream.
Yes. You're better to deliver it than us. Also, we're talking about films, tense films.
Tense movies.
Tense films. Films that, aspire to make your rectum be able to crack a walnut.
Yeah, open a can of...
All the bones.
Not a can. Maybe a bottle.
I was going to say bones, but there's no bones in your rectum, as far as I'm aware.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
By the end of this podcast, I'll know the answer, and we'll discuss
bones
that.
in the fingers of a postman.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
That'll do. Nice.
Questing the cinematic void.
Okay, then. So, as one of the sort of primary intention, I think, of the director, what's his Laxe is his surname, isn't it? What's his first name?
Begins with a J. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
John
Laxe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
John Laxative.
Yeah. John Lasseter. Started off with Toy Story.
Of course.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
God, that is so shit.
It's all right.
Hang on, let me have a look.
All right, okay. I'll keep the audience entertained in the meantime.
Please. I always kind of imagine, like, sorry, I just completely interrupted you.
No, don't worry.
I always kind of think, like, what would it, like, if they stumbled across this?
It's not a good look, is it?
No, they'd be like, these fucking wankers.
Like the intro, he was like, I think I might hire these guys to do a rewrite. And then he hears this, actually,
Sirât
maybe not.
2. These guys are they're going to be in charge of the sound design. It's Oliver Laxe.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen any of his other work.
No, me neither. God, this is getting better and better, isn't it? You really have. You really, if you found us, Oliver, you really are in for a treat. I think since his intention is to kind of generate sustained periods of tension.
Yeah.
It felt like a good opportunity to talk about films that aspire to do the same, because it's a bizarre thing, and I remember thinking this during, as I was watching Sirât, I should say that, whatever reservations I might have about it, sort of after watching the film, during the experience, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Partly because I was hungover, and when you're hungover, you're far more susceptible to the kind of emotions that you're perhaps a bit more resilient to. When you're a bit more of a sort of emotionally steady space. But
Yeah.
it made me think more about what it is that we gain from it as an audience.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was thinking that it's kind of, I guess, adjacent to horror in that sense. But I think it's, I don't know, like I feel personally like far more uncomfortable during a film that aspires to make me feel that kind of tension than I do from any horror film.
Yeah. No, I definitely
I think it's a much more powerful emotion. I mean, personally, just for me as an audience member. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I like it. I think the thing with horror is it's quite often, I mean, there are exceptions to this, but it's set up and payoff, isn't it? So you have the tensions generated by the anticipation of something jumping out at you or something being revealed or violence. Yeah, definitely violence. But in this, it's sort of a bit less clear what you're going to be dished out. And that's true of a lot of, well, I mean, this film, I don't really know how to categorize it, but it's definitely, I think, doesn't help the period of history that we're currently living through. The undertones of kind of military intervention,
geopolitical unrest.
Yeah, which is never really, it's kept quite vague.
Yeah,
that helped, I think, with the tension. I think a lot of people will probably be susceptible to that sort of unease at the moment than they perhaps would in the mid-90s, for example. Although I'm sure, obviously,
Gulf War.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there is actually no example of us not experiencing historical tension, but I think that's sort of where that's where it's generated from.
I mean, I think that's a really interesting point. I've not actually considered that, weirdly, that that the real world events of that time would have a huge impact on the way that audiences perceive kind of narrative, or themes within narratives, and indeed also on the reverse of that, of course, obviously influence the kind of filmmakers and the artists of that time. And that's such an obvious thing, but
no.
Attention, I've not really considered it. But when I think about films like Parallax-View and All the President's Men, films that really kind of latched onto that Cold War paranoia, the fear of the other, the distrust in government, and this kind of omnipresent sense of dread that must have kind of like permeated the lives of people of that period pretty much every day for a really, really long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, post-war, all of a sudden we have the ability to destroy entire cities with one weapon, I suppose. That would, in the eyes of us, that's something we've always lived with, but in the eyes of people growing up in the sort of 60s and 70s, they might know a time when that wasn't quite as commonplace. So having those films out around that time must have been like, incredibly tension rich, I suppose. I haven't actually seen Parallax-View. Is it worth a watch?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
really great. Really great.
Is it focused in on like one character, like kind of like Butcher Boy?
It's Warren Beatty in the lead.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but it is really good. And there's a really good scene in like I can't remember the fucking exact nature of the location, but I think it's like a political rally.
Yeah,
there's
right.
like a sort of thing going on above them in the rafters, and it's like him trying to escape all these kind of shadowy double agents and all this kind of stuff.
Oh man, okay. Yeah,
it really is, like I said, sort of sowing the seeds of distrust in the government and how these kind of interest parties and groups, either driven by national agendas that contrast sharply with that of the West or the United States, or corporate agendas as well, and how they intersect, and how they, hold considerable sway over policy making and the day-to-day lives of kind of American people, or indeed people of the world, And that's something that's not really left American politics. I think I'm kind of saying this, and I don't mean this in the sense, because I know it's very fashionable for people in Europe to kind of, pour scorn on everything the Americans do. But I think there's always been that element of weight to any kind of conspiracy or anything that's deemed a conspiracy when it kind of circles or permeates American politics.
Okay, yeah.
There's always that kind of, because so much of it has origin in truth or is true, that even the more outlandish ones, you can sort of understand why they might have some kind of Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that obviously the other countries in the West are at all, in terms of their politics, clean by any stretch of the imagination. But there is just something, I don't know, about maybe in part because of the culture that circled it around the time and that distrust. Obviously, very much during the 1960s, it was the kind of free love hippie movement. So perhaps people were far more receptive to those kind of ideas and messages than they are now. Although I think obviously we're very much in the age of conspiracy now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Of ridiculousness.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I'm kind of talking myself into one cul-de-sac after another.
No. It's interesting. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of other films that have that. One that popped into my mind was Lives of Others. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah,
That's quite good, and that's very paranoid. That's a very paranoid film, but rightly so. And it kind of the paranoia is justified because obviously, people bugging other people's houses, sort of East and West Germany was commonplace. That's a really great exercise in tension, but also humanity amongst that tension. I've only seen it once a really long time ago. It was popular for a really long time.
Yeah.
For it was like a kind of couple of years where it was like the foreign film to pick up on DVD. Which we did, and it kind of people have forgotten about it largely. But I really admired that film. I thought it was really good in terms of generating tension in the context of what we were just discussing anyway. I think what you were going back, what you were saying about the sort of the kind of free spirited nature of certain people. Funnily enough, I think Sirat's tension is slightly generated by the initial, at least in the opening sort of maybe half an hour, the rift between a kind of very wound up father, justifiably so, looking for his daughter, and he kind of joins this convoy of these sort of free spirited people and their
surrogate family of kind of techno hippies.
Yeah, and their lifestyles could not be more different. And his attachment to them is almost awkward at times because you don't know how willing they are to help him and how, what's in it for them and how, what are their motivations for keeping him on and stuff. And there's a moment by a river where he thinks that they've left him behind, and the film could have gone in a very different direction after that moment. I just thought that was another way the film kind of kept you on edge. Really.
Yeah, there's this, I guess, an ideological disconnect. You sort of get the sense that if these kind of groups were to meet in like day-to-day life, they wouldn't even give each other a second glance. The change of that location pushes them into this. And indeed, the overarching situation, both in the kind of the geopolitical situation is very vaguely alluded to, and we'll go into that later. But also the kind of more tragic personal situation of the father, desperately trying to find his daughter. That kind of brings them together in a relatively, at least initially, interesting way. And I guess ideological schisms is another huge thing, and another thing that derives tension. I guess perhaps from a kind of personal point of view, we've all been in situations where we've disagreed with people, and be it family or be it like in the workplace, where there are certain things going on that perhaps prevent you from really kind of challenging them. And that in itself can be quite anxiety inducing.
Oh, hugely.
And I'm not saying that like letting people getting away with saying terrible things, but it's just, it can be quite a tense thing just to have someone that says something so different to what you think, and you have like a moment where you think, should I say something? Can I be asked?
You kind of have you sort of have to play out the scenario in your head, like how will it go if I do say something? Are their minds going to be changed, or is it just going to create more tension for me than I'm already experiencing? That's quite often a problem.
I just wondered if there was something in that, the kind of the day-to-day kind of lived-in experiences that we all have. Maybe that's kind of where that kind of tension can come from. It's a funny film that I just popped into my head. That sort of dinner time conversation, right?
from it's not a very good. I mean, I didn't mind it when I saw it, but there's a film called August Osage County, which is based on a play, I believe, and it's very, very faithfully adapted from the play.
Right. Okay.
And the entire third act of the film is just around a dinner table, and everyone is disagreeing with each other, and there's no. It's relentless. It's just like every single character is in a different stage in their life, and whether that be kind of different, there's different political views, there's a difference in age, there's a difference in gender, there's a difference in all sorts of, and everyone is just sort of like in one way or another at each other's throats silently at first, and it's like bubbling, and it's actually a really effective scene. I don't know, I think it's one of those films that you kind of don't understand why it's been adapted into a film, because the film in and of itself, the fact that it's committed to film, it serves no purpose really.
Right.
Should have it could have been a play really still, and the camera doesn't do anything interesting. But yeah, I mean I don't know why that popped into my head. It was a bit of a departure from Sirât and the more kind of politically motivated films we've been talking about. But nonetheless, as an exercise in tension, I think like that's the dinner. Not even necessarily the dinner, but the dinner table, I think, is what a setting.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes for
I have a sort of strange aversion to sitting at the dinner tables.
Okay, right. Is it for that reason? Or?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. You don't want to ruin the meal either. That's a kind of another thing that you have to take into consideration.
Obviously, I do, by the way. Sometimes.
Anyway, anyone that's cooked you a meal is just. Listening to
sit on the floor in the corner,
right, okay. Yeah.
facing away from everyone. Yeah, obviously, you're right, and that's an interesting film to bring up because it isn't just tension doesn't just come from big sort of geopolitical schisms. You've got your sort of your Alan J. Pakulas, you've got your John Frankenheimers and the Manchurian Candidate, and all those kind of films. But it's interesting you mentioned that kind of one location kind of film. I was thinking, because classic Cinebois cinema in fashion, we kind of decided the topic about 10 minutes before we started recording. 12 Angry Men.
I was just thinking 12 Angry Men.
It's a great example of a film that is a play.
Yeah.
It's based on a play, right?
I'd be incredibly surprised if it wasn't based on a play.
Know that.
It must be. Yeah, it's just that the writing is so sharp, it has to be.
You could argue, and this is sort of testament to Sidney Lumet's brilliance as a director, but you could argue that the fact that it is a film is far more intense because the camera can invade spaces that, as an audience member in a theatre, you can't.
Yeah, that's true, actually. And maybe the other film I mentioned did do that, and it passed by me, as these techniques are quite often designed to do. But 12 Angry Men, that definitely has those kinds of techniques, and especially in the closing moments when
it gets closer and closer to the faces of the people that disagree with one another.
Yeah,
and it's almost like all of the exterior noise around the characters becomes increasingly less important, and it reveals more about their kind of feelings and biases and desires. And that getting closer and closer, you just you're kind of all the outside noise, the fact that you're literally deciding the fate of a young man's life. It's almost like the way that some of the characters are so disinterested in that, and their realization to understanding the gravity of the decision that they have to make. Obviously it sways some of them, and there's one guy that holds out right to the end, right, who insists he's guilty, but it's obvious that he just kind of wants to get it done so he can carry on with his life. So it's this idea about like there's biases, or just indeed like being the selfishness that we have. Societally, like we don't always necessarily fully consider the kind of the weight of the decisions that we make in daily life, let alone in a fucking courtroom. I just think it's just such a. I mean, because I haven't seen it for a while, but it came up, and I was just watching loads of clips of it, and I was just reminding myself of obviously the brilliance of all of the performances in the film, and as you say, the script is superb. But one thing that I really honed in on was that sort of. That really just the deployment of really simple techniques really well, and I think that's sort of Sidney Lumet's bread and butter. Really, like he doesn't, he's not reinventing the wheel, but he's just using those techniques with inch perfect precision. And he's just creating something that really kind of is so not just thematically resonant, but emotionally resonant, whilst being unbearably tense all the way through. And this is a guy that you never see, right? You don't see him.
No, it's just in the jury deliberating.
Yeah, so
that's the whole idea. Yeah,
you feel the weight, the tension derives from almost the unknown, from not knowing him.
yeah,
You know, you've got this idea of him that's being constructed by the kind of, again, the opinions and biases, etc., of the people on the jury.
yeah. And you're one of the jurors in a way, I suppose,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
And that's the whole like construction of the film. Is obviously, I feel like juries having to be impartial is they use that and they spin it for creative intent. It's just the only way the audience can be impartial here is if they don't meet him, and that speaks a lot to how quickly bias can be formed in humans' brains, and also a really great way of depriving the audience of bias, really. And you do come to the same conclusion, I think, towards the end as everyone on the jury, apart from this one guy who he sort of breaks down, I think.
Yeah,
at the end.
he
starts
breaks down
crying.
at the end. Yeah,
And he kind of just you sort of realise that his resolve the whole time has been, just
it's mostly
cracking.
self-interest, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he has to reckon with that, and I think it's part of the reason he kind of falls apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
I
so
need to watch
good.
it again. Lee lent it to me on Blu-ray, actually. I was like, oh yeah, everyone talks about how great this film is, and I've never seen it. What a find. I thought to myself as I watched it, even though it's like an incredibly well-renowned film, and it's something that I should have watched a lot earlier than I did. It was one of those. Didn't disappoint me at all. There was definite reason why and truth to people praising it so much, which sometimes doesn't happen for me. Sometimes people are, I can't believe you haven't seen X, Y, or Z, or whatever. And I watched it and I'm like, it was okay, but I think it was a product of its time, really, more so than a good film in the context of today. But a notable exception is 12 Angry Men. I love that film.
It's great.
And I need to watch it again.
Yeah, it's been a long time, actually.
Yeah.
There we go.
We'll put it. I'll put it on the watch along list.
Just not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah. Someone put it on the watch along list.
Yeah. Well, I think we should be allowed to put at least one or two of our own picks.
Yeah. It'd be quite funny.
Because we'll put all the picks on and then we'll do like people can vote.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
I've been trying to like bring the Instagram back alive because I've we just use it as a kind of, well, I do actually because I'm the person that's in charge of it. I've sort of been treating it as a dumping ground for the posters.
You're immortalising them in a way.
Even though you put so I just go there, that'll do. So yeah, I think trying to be a bit more active.
It's all good. Some of the fonts for those films are really hard to find. Actually,
I know. Look at the hard work. I just don't do anything. That's why.
The Wuthering Heights one, which actually isn't posted yet, but it should be like that. Took me a while. And
that's going out tomorrow.
Oh, cool, nice. Yeah. Tomorrow, but by the time you're listening to this, it won't be tomorrow. It'll be out. So listen to that right now. Stop listening to this one.
Yeah, well, listen to them both from two separate audio devices.
Yeah. Stereo.
Yeah,
that'd be really horrible. Actually, can't wait.
Yeah, staying on the line of tension and then going towards a couple of films that are a clear inspiration for this for Sirât.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, a lot of people have made this comparison, so there's by no way am I going to try and repackage this as a kind of Cinebois exclusive. But this film is clearly indebted to the work of Friedkin and Sorcerer, the same way that Friedkin is obviously more overtly indebted to Henry Clouseau or George Henry Clouseau and Wages of Fear.
Wages of Fear, yeah.
The key similarity, of course, being the
premise, right?
The premise: vehicles in a hostile, unforgiving landscape where the stakes are high, and one mistake means death.
Yep.
Right. Very similar.
Yeah, completely. And I've not actually seen Wages of Fear. I think I have already mentioned that on a previous episode, actually, a while back.
God.
Yeah. We do it because we did a Freakin' episode, didn't we?
Way back when, yeah.
Yeah, because we sort of touched on Sorcerer
in response
a little
to
bit.
His untimely passing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That we done
Maybe timely, depending on
like a director deep dive. A timely passing. Yeah.
How was he?
He was quite elderly, I think, and also he had a reputation a little bit, didn't he, of not being a particularly nice person.
Yeah, I've seen him in interviews where sometimes he's really funny in interviews because again, it's that kind of separation, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, obviously, as a film fan, you don't know them as people, and you work with them on a film set, so you can kind of like get wrapped up in the artistry and the brilliance. But working with those people sometimes must be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, especially
Not that means his passing was timely. I don't know.
No, yeah.
This
no,
was for the runners that worked under him.
Yeah. The runners from the film Sorcerer. That must have been a challenging shoot. I think.
Yeah.
It almost Apocalypse Now levels of challenging shoots. And I have heard stories about that set being a hard, particularly difficult one. But what a film that came out of it, really. I do think, in terms of tension, it's nothing quite like those close-ups of those big tyres going across, like, logs and sort of rainforest, dense rainforest, and this truck. Obviously, okay, for anyone that hasn't watched it, or The Wages of Fear, is the central premise is these guys are getting paid a reasonably large amount of money, I think, to drive explosives across a... like particularly challenging terrain, and these explosives are
South America, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the explosives are detonated by force. So if one wrong move in this truck, and they will explode.
So you basically have to creep, don't you? You can't drive at full speed.
Yeah, and at the same time, the relationships between these men are quite tense to begin with. So they're bickering the whole time. And they have, because I think they all know the stakes involved, obviously. So you kind of get into each of their minds, and it's like, just one of the most tense films I've watched, Sorcerer, and like quite entertaining at the same time because you're on the edge of your seat quite literally, and it's very fun to watch, but very hard and grueling to watch at the same time. I've heard The Wages of Fear handles the tension a slightly different way. Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say I personally prefer the characters in Wages of Fear.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's a bit more time with them. They're a little bit more three-dimensional.
Yeah.
And it's obviously for its time in its own right a masterwork of tension. But I would say Sorcerer probably doubles. I think Friedkin has the edge in being able to generate that kind of emotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Yeah, it's a really powerful sort of mediation of man against nature, right? And the tension that comes with that, despite this kind of unbearable explosive power that they have in their possession, it's still nature that they still have to bow to nature. For them to succeed in this journey, they can't just bullishly kind of chop the forest down, or they have to play by its own rules. And it's also about the kind of exploitation of people as well, and both in a kind of class and colonial context. I think Wages of Fear is a bit more explicit in that than Sorcerer is. I think Sorcerer kind of hacks away at the exterior stuff a little bit more to focus on that, and that's probably arguably why the tension might be a little bit more pronounced.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But that idea of exploitation and it's dynamite. Where are they driving it to? I forget.
I don't know. I think part of the point is like you sort of. I remember it being kept deliberately vague, but yeah.
All I've seen is that Millwall are beating Derby 1-0.
Oh, mate. Well, let's focus on that. Let's focus on that for a bit.
Start talking about that for a bit.
Yeah.
Sorcerer. Sorry, that's just to get the lads on.
Yeah.
Football chat. Come on, boys.
The Denzel Washington chat as well. We got to talk about Denzel for a bit because he's obviously by far our most popular episode.
Yeah. There's the dynamite going. Again, I should have done all this beforehand. Fucking hell.
Don't worry about it.
Unstable dynamite through a jungle train to extinguish an oil well fire in a remote village.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sorry, that's a really long time and boring to watch and listen to.
Do you know there's a remake of Wages of Fear?
No, I did not.
2024. It looks like a kind of naff Netflix thing. Yeah, not great. Maybe don't watch that one.
Yeah, watch the original.
We are talking about the 1953 version, by the way.
So again, the idea of an oil fire in a village, right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so the tension is like.
Well, it's the idea. It's very much about again that kind of exploitation of the land. Something that I guess.
And the clock's ticking for them. So they
Yeah, exactly. And the notion that these landscapes and these peoples are just kind of obstacles. They're not. There's no consideration as to the validity of the experience of the people that have inhabited that landscape, many of which are probably indigenous to the land.
Yeah.
Or indeed the natural environment that supports so much of those populations, and indeed the wildlife. There's just none of that concern, which is very much in the kind of in the spirit of the kind of colonial and indeed post-colonial attitude that we live in today. So I think there's still a great deal of resonance there thematically that still applies, and I think is perhaps a part of the reason why the film is still so good in it, because I was quite late to the party with Sorcerer. I'd never seen it, and I tried to buy a Blu-ray of it, and it was really hard.
Yeah.
For ages, it was really hard to find, and then they did a re-release a few years ago. I think maybe I talked about it in the Sorcerer episode. And yeah, that was the first time I saw it. So
Yeah.
there is just he has a knack. He has a knack, Friedkin. He can get under your skin. And of course, he famously did that with The Exorcist. Even the bits in French Connection, there's some pretty sort of rough bits in that film that kind of
Oh yeah, definitely.
And even if he's deriving tension in a different way, like the car chase scene through New York, right under the subway.
Oh, the stakes feel so real in that.
Yeah,
moment,
he is really good at just grounding those kind of that sort of kinetic delirium and making it. It doesn't feel like a deliberate, stylish technique like a lot of contemporary action sequences in films.
Yeah,
you're fully aware of the kind of finesse of it.
Yeah,
which in a way kind of pulls you out of the realism. But obviously, if the action film's intention isn't realism, it doesn't matter. Oh, potatoes repeating on me. But he's just really good at grounding it in that, and
definitely. Yeah,
it's no surprise to me. He's very good at vehicles, doing stuff in vehicles.
He is. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Characterizing
Actually,
vehicles as well, like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a hulking demonic beast. It's just a vessel for colonial ambition. This demonic beast sort of just creeping and crushing things in its wake. But there's a real vulnerability to it, which is simultaneously conveyed. I don't know. And it's that contrast again, which is perhaps why it's so tense.
definitely.
And loads of close-ups of Roy Schrader's sweaty face. Nothing more tense than that. Ask his wife.
It was what was for Jaws was first, because Sorcerer was in the 80s, right?
And that was another film. Actually, I had a look at a list and my cursory opening research. Jaws was up there.
Jaws was on there. Roy Scheider is in terms
Schreider,
of
yeah.
Is it Schreider?
Schrader. Probably Schreider, isn't it?
Yeah. No, he's got a propensity for generating tension with perspiration.
Yeah.
In Jaws and in Sorcerer.
He's a sweaty bastard, and that's not my words. That's the word of Spielberg. So,
is that right?
no.
Exclusive.
Imagine you said that in the press release.
Yeah.
Schreider.
Spielberg's actually just off camera, and he's giving us
He's got his thumbs up.
giving us the thumbs up. Yeah.
Thoughts on Schreider? Sweaty bastard.
Right, you are. Yeah. But in terms of its connection to Sirât, then I think like one thing that Sirât does, which is slightly more unique in terms of generating tension, is the use of. And I'm not saying Sorcerer doesn't do this, but sound. I think the inclusion of there's something it does with speakers and the way that speakers sort of reverberate as you get closer to them. It's almost like that sound is permeated through the entirety of the beginning of this of Sirât, and it's like it wasn't necessarily pleasant, but it was definitely tapping into something there, I think, on a sort of primal level, the same way that Irreversible had that sound, and and you kind of, and it's sickening because you know something horrible is going to happen, and in this, you're right to suspect that something horrible is going to happen. It just takes a little while to actually take place. Yeah. But
I thought it was interesting, that speaker stuff. It almost gave the speaker a kind of this wall of sort of tech.
Yeah.
It gave it sort of almost like a theological quality.
It
felt like there was a few really sort of pointed shots of where the speakers would intersect with one another, or like just the metal framework that I imagine is designed to keep them so robust so they can handle these kind of sandy.
Yeah, you're
conditions.
right.
There's
Yeah.
like a lot of crosses and
Okay. Yeah.
I remember thinking a couple of times this is a little bit on the nose, but I'll let it slide because it's the start of a film, and I'm not going to
Sirât does
put
mean
all my eggs in one basket.
Sirât does mean a gate to hell, isn't it? Like a
okay.
sort of.
Well, there we go then.
It's a journey to hell, I
then.
think, is the kind of rough translation of it, and I actually thought the ending, the very last closing moments of the film were just that, where like they're on a railway to hell. That was kind of what I got from it.
Right, okay. By returning back to society.
Yes,
Spoilers.
or returning to like a war torn
Yes.
reality that they
Yeah.
were trying to get away from.
Yes.
In one way or another.
Yeah, I thought the opening was interesting. I
Yeah.
thought it set up some interesting ideas, but I feel like the film did a lot of that. It set up a lot of things and didn't really carry them through.
No, oh yeah,
And I think we sort of alluded to this in the beginning of the episode, but I felt that a lot of the techniques that were deployed, Laxe is throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you at points.
yeah.
And when you're sat in the cinema in that moment, it does land. Because there are a couple of moments in this film that are they kind of, perhaps maybe not so the first moment in terms of the stakes and the situation they're in, but the casualty that results from that. You don't see that coming necessarily.
No.
So from a purely formal and cinematic perspective, it lands.
Yeah.
As does the scene with the landmines. Spoilers.
Oh yeah.
That sort of comes out of nowhere. Works in the moment.
Yeah.
So it feels like very much to me like a film of in the moment. It's in the moment bits work.
As a sum.
As a sum, when you come out of the cinema and you sit with it for a while, that impact drifts away.
Yeah.
Because you
yeah.
start to go under the hood and think, well, what's this really trying to achieve? And we were having a little chat.
Sort of a little chat.
Little chatting.
We actually chat outside of this podcast.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Contrary to the rumours, we actually get on quite well. We were talking, and because I had this feeling, and we were sort of talking about like the kind of deliberate vagueness in cinema.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly tricky thing to do to make sort of thematically penetrative or resonant vagueness in films.
Yeah.
Really difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And you only need to make a couple of misturns. Misturns?
Yeah.
Odd turns? I don't know.
Wrong turns.
Wrong turns.
Yeah.
That sort of devalidates the criticism immediately, doesn't it?
Sorry.
It's not all right.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do it again.
Don't
Do it again. Sawing it off. But you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to pull off. And all you need to do is make a couple of mistakes and people will start to go, do you really know what you're doing?
Yeah, you lose them.
Are you just trying to do something and are you showing off a little bit?
Yeah.
And I felt that with this film.
Is the term prosaic? Is that a kind of that'd be a fair assessment of a lot of films, sort of something of nothing kind of. I think some films, and it's very much like down to the audience member as well. Some people might really, really get on with a film with vagueness in it that other people might just be like, I do not know what I just watched. On the Silver Globe is one of those.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that quite recently.
Or even Possession, you could argue, has that about it as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think
with the director.
That was, yeah. It came as a double bill on like a single Blu-ray, I think.
I've got his box set of his other films. Actually, I've not. Strangely enough, I've not been in the mood for them.
Oh, mate, on the Silver Globe is a weird movie.
I mean, don't be wrong, I'm in for it, but it's just one of those films that I think you have to go. Now's the time.
Yeah.
From what I hear, anyway.
It's got a lot of really interesting visual stuff in it.
I really liked Possession, so.
But it has that. I think that's down to the audience member. But then you know, there's a film like Stalker, which is quite difficult to ignore at the same time, and like the production of that film is just as interesting as the film itself, actually. And you know, there's a sense that you could lose people, but ultimately there's enough thematic richness in that film concerning strangeness. I think it's a comment on alien and that sort of the strange alien sort of stuff that it does stand on its own 2 feet. And I think you're right in saying that Sirât kind of ventures away from really grasping the sort of thematic density that a lot of other vague films do.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? And I was just thinking, like, what is it? Takes one of the best examples that you just mentioned there of these films that have a lot more narrative space.
Yeah,
There's a lot more space, and then what separates them? And I think it's that it has confidence in the space because it is done enough to justify its inclusion.
Yeah.
So Stalker is obviously a work of incredible atmosphere.
That's probably what I was getting at earlier on. Actually, that's what I meant by strange alien stuff.
But you're right though. Like, whereas I think Laxe is doing his best to try and cultivate that sense of atmosphere. I just think there were some different films at play here.
Yeah,
I think I just didn't really get a sense that there was anything particularly thematically cohesive.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that the potential for kind of more impactful sort of thematic stuff that could have been done in the interplay between the characters, it's not that wasn't necessarily demonstrated in the relationship, as we said, between the kind of smelly techno hippies and the kind of grieving father.
Yeah.
Who's I imagine a more traditionally minded individual, outside of the confines of this kind of situation that he finds himself in.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough in their interactions necessarily, or indeed just the little sort of details about their characters that could have been inferred without sacrificing that feeling. I actually felt the film relied too much on sweeping vistas, the majestic sun-scarred vistas of the Moroccan landscape. I thought it relied on it too much.
Yeah.
It also failed as a kind of transcendental exploration of the power of music.
Yeah.
Which was another thing that I thought it was going to be at the start. Because the film kind of does that, sets it up as an idea of this kind of outer body spiritual experience.
It had some shots at the beginning that showed promise in that regard.
Exactly, yeah.
And it didn't really follow through with those ideas like that. There's a moment where a kind of slightly it's some religious imagery and it's carved onto the stone, and with like blue neon light. And you're like, wow, what's that going to mean? And it never really follows through on its promise to explain it.
I guess it is juxtaposed with the kind of tribal nature in which the music kind of brings people together, and a focus on the kind of people that attend these kind of experiences, these raves, are the kind of people that that are kind of fringe, aren't they?
Yeah, they're peripheries.
They're like hippies. People that have obviously a worldview and a desire to live a life that's very different to the world that we inhabit.
Yeah, van life.
Yeah. I bet this film stank.
A lot of non-professional actors. So
there you go.
I mean, I think the directors.
He looks like a bit of a hippie.
He's got on record saying he wanted to reconnect with that past self that I imagine him being at one of these raves at one point. And
I saw him in directing on a picture of him directing. He had like a little pork pie-ish sort of hat on.
Did he?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, fine, whatever. You do you, Oliver.
That's fair enough. What did we call him before?
Jonathan
or something? Yeah.
Yeah, because you were like, it starts with a J.
I don't know why I thought it started with a J. Yeah.
Oliver, it was all him. You think you're a twat. Obviously, to each their own.
Yeah.
But, I just think it's the idea of setting that kind of idea up, and then obviously when the military turn up, I remember thinking, oh God, this seems again, a bit pointed. And then it becomes about this kind of external geopolitical situation that has exploded, as these people are sort of raving and taking drugs and sleeping on each other's sweaty laps in the interim. And that kind of, I think, is supposed to kind of bleed into the film as a kind of exploration of that idea of trying to escape and getting away, and how impossible it is to escape.
Yep.
You know, there's some vague references to some of the backstories of some of the characters,
Yep.
all having kind of like, you know, this is their surrogate family. This is a group of people who have found each other through a love of something, the music,
Yeah.
and through the experiences that has given them. They're a family, and they're together in a way that perhaps their families back home aren't, which is often the case for why a lot of these people live this kind of lifestyle, right?
Completely. Yeah.
Not
we were saying
everyone
about
who has a van has got a dad that they hate, but you know what I
but
mean?
you were saying, you know, but a couple of episodes ago about Nomadland. It's the same thing. wasn't it?
Escaping.
Yes.
Escaping a world that they feel that perhaps doesn't quite understand them, nor want or wish to support them, so they have to kind of go their own way.
Yeah.
So there's two things going on there. Music, you've got the kind of apocalyptic backdrop that is so vague, annoyingly vague.
Deliberately annoyingly vague, I think. And
it felt deliberate. That was my problem.
Yeah. And it's quite
I'm all
lazy.
for vague,
Yeah.
but it just felt like, you know.
I always thought it could have been more
think about
vague in a
that.
way.
Think
Yeah.
Ooh, a hat, you know.
Listen-
You know, and I was like,
Listen to the radio. The radio is saying it's World War III.
turn that off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was quite ham-fistedly done, like the inclusion of the army kind of kicking them out. And I just thought it could have been alluded to slightly more cleverly. And I think it's a shame that because it you know, the film does promise that kind of deliberate vagueness in quite a tantalizing way at the beginning, with the use of the sound and the use of the kind of cutting between like quite a frantic father looking for his daughter, and then these people just not caring about anything apart from what they're listening to and their kind of trance-like movements. And that was interesting as a setup, but then the way that they introduced the World War III, I'm going to call it World War III because that's what it felt like.
WW.
It felt like a kind of 12-year-old's fan fiction about like an apocalyptic event. It's just like, it's World War III kind of, I don't know, that's what I sort of thought about it anyway. Yeah, could have been handled better. I definitely agree with you in that respect. Were the landmines to do with the geopolitical rift?
Oh yeah, I assume so. Yeah.
Why would you put them in? I don't know. That's another slight, like, kind of annoying logic thing I have. To put them in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Where there's no one around.
Yeah.
And
That
there's no.
seems pointless.
Yeah. I don't know. Are they in some kind of no man's land? Would Morocco ever be a no man's land? I don't know. It depends on what the.
Well, war is, I guess.
We don't give.
I guess
yeah.
if you wanted to offer a limp defence, it's perhaps runs tandem with the geopolitical situation that has kind of dogged a lot of. So I feel like we said geopolitics a lot.
There's a lot going on in
There's a lot going on
geopolitics to the moment.
It's not just cinema, is it?
No.
Films aren't just.
It all fits.
It all fits in. It's all part of life's rich tapestry. No, I mean not to. Sorry, it feels a bit disingenuous now to go, but the Middle East has obviously been a considerable target for the West for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of end result of hundreds, if not thousands, of years of Western snobbishness and elitism. I think it was perhaps again a very pointed reference to that, even though obviously Morocco is right on the far western side of Africa. It felt like perhaps there's something to do with that, maybe.
Yeah, I can understand that. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was not an odd choice. But
And a former colonial country as well, of course.
true, yeah, French colony, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Done my research.
Say that, John.
I think, and again, in and of itself, the landmine sequence was quite interesting and incredibly tense. Jesus Christ!
On
it
a
was
surface
tense.
level,
yeah.
In the cinema, it was actually quite difficult to watch.
Yeah, I think by that point, what had hooked me with the film was two things. Where are these like ravers? Like, what is their destination? So they're looking.
Rave, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was like, what's that going to look
Get
like?
a job.
Rave to rave. But like, what's that going to look like? I thought that was going to be the ending of the film. I thought the destination was ultimately going to reveal itself as this kind of like oasis of rave, and I thought maybe that was,
lame.
and also
like explosions in the background.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they all just don't care, man.
Flying over. The music will save us.
So I wanted to know where they were going, and I wanted to know what happened to this guy's daughter because I was invested in that.
Yeah.
And the film set, the setup of this film very much hinges on those two things being answered. And then, halfway through the film, there's an accident involving the guy's son and a van and a handbrake, should we say? And it just flips everything on its head.
Fucking gear change.
Yeah. A shift into neutral, you might say. Because if you left in first gear, it wouldn't have rolled backwards. So, just saying.
What an idiot. The boy, he dies. Spoilers.
Yeah, he dies. And it just sort of like...
And his dog.
Yeah, and the dog as well. Bold choice. Jesus Christ. It kind of like... is the point of the film like something so tragic happening flips the agendas of everyone? I mean, obviously, understandably, the agenda of the father's going to shift once something like that's happened. But with regards to the others, like, and the audience by extension, like, are we now supposed to just abandon the idea? Because like, you never find out what happened to the daughter.
No, and again, I don't think that would have bothered me so much had the rest of it been sort of this kind of incongruent mixture of pointedness and attempted vagueness.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't have cared if he had not got the answer. If everything, but if it was so kind of, it's narratively rickety ground.
Yeah.
I thought it was another interesting setup. You've got a group of people wanting to flee society, and this guy is almost sort of like a reminder of it, right? He's a reminder of these parents that they probably want to get away from. Each of them have these individual parents they probably want to escape. They just want to stay with their surrogate family, take acid and flounce around like twats in fields. That's fair enough,
Deserts, I guess.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no fields.
Imagine having a field. Yeah.
But I know he is a sort of reminder of that person, the judgment they would probably felt at some point in their lives before the film, as characters, And I liked that there was potential there for that to be, again, it's not subtle. You're taking two people from two different worlds and put them together. That's a pretty common trope in a lot of movies. But I thought they set up this kind of making it dusty and lived in, which I thought was kind of interesting initially. But yeah, I just don't think they did enough with it. I think they relied on the tropes a little bit too much. Then it obviously becomes more about survival. It's
a bit Mad Maxy.
Yeah. And then obviously, his son. So obviously he's looking for his daughter, who's part of this kind of transitory sort of hippie movement. He's with his son, and it's his son that has the tragic accident, and that's when the film shifts, isn't it? Pretty.
It becomes about
suddenly.
An attempt to analyze grief, but it does, and I think it's reasonably successful in analyzing it in a way. But
I don't think so.
But it kind of, the bits of him just wandering through the
drug scene. Bin that off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just again like another kind of thing that these films do. Ooh, throw a drug scene in.
Yeah.
Let's have a trip scene. It's
what else is there to live for? But it takes some acid.
I don't know. Yeah. Again, I just maybe in a different approach, it wouldn't have been half as annoying. But that's another almost cliche, I want to say, of these kind of like aspiring, heavy, thematically dense films. They have to throw that kind of drug taking scene in there. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I
maybe it's to shore up the kind of tribal comparisons. I don't know. This kind of outer body experience that you can have, and a lot of people attest to the kind of healing qualities of kind of these kind of psychedelic drugs. Not sure you'd want to take one a day after your son gets crushed by a car.
Yeah,
seems a bit rushed.
It also, I mean, surely there's going to be an element of
I couldn't handle going to Asda last time I took because I could, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Find yourself in the middle of nowhere after having just lost your only other
dead.
child. Yeah.
Acid. So that sounds like a great idea. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, and also, again, this is kind of one of those weird, like, stupid kind of logic holes in a film where I actually kind of annoys me when people bring this up a bit too much. But wouldn't you get very, very dehydrated if you're taking acid in the middle of a desert?
Is it even acid though?
I don't know. I kind of thought
plant,
it was.
isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's a bit more herbal than that. I don't know. I don't know. It's a stupid. That's
Yeah,
a
it was just
stupid
naff.
way
I
to-
thought, like, you know, again, like we always talk about surrendering yourselves to logic. It's it's not that we want to surrender to the logic of the film, but if the film is being very pointed and clunky, then it's hard to surrender to it, and that's when those questions start to come out, and that's when you start getting pulled out away from the film.
Yeah,
and that's when
yeah.
you start to see it, the sum of its parts, rather than be immersed. And I think that was my biggest problem with it, is that I just wasn't immersed.
Yeah.
It felt like everything was built to make me immersed. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't.
You could see the foundations of it.
Yeah, I could just
suppose.
see it. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that what I saw, I didn't derive an emotional attachment to. Like I said, on a surface level, it achieves a lot of what it sets out to do.
Yeah.
And it looks stunning.
It does. It looks very scratched.
Yeah,
scratchy quality
it's
to
a
it.
beautiful looking film, and the soundtrack's pretty cool. Like, I listened to that again, and I like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel that. Yeah, I don't know. I remember you were saying as well, like, obviously it's very much something we both like to do, but I think you do this a lot more, is where you've seen a film and you immediately, you're like, right, I'm going to research the shit out of this.
yeah.
You look at, again, we spoke about the brilliance of Letterboxd quite a lot, and I was quite as surprised as you were to see how kind of lukewarm the response was. It seems to be a bit more of a critical darling than it does at general viewer.
Yeah. I think so.
And this is a lot of people on Letterboxd who obviously on their truth. So it's not that their opinions are any less valid because they're not an established critic.
No, but yeah, I
But
think
there's a lot of people on there who watch a lot of movies who really weren't taken by this film.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to me that it has this huge buzz around it, like it did at Cannes, as I said right at the start. And
it was like a real favourite, wasn't it? Yeah.
And yet it doesn't seem to have translated in the kind of way that these kind of films can do, where they become everywhere because everyone loves them.
Yeah. Especially at this time of year, where you get a lot of that.
A lot of fervour, don't you?
I kind of thank God, I suppose, for the access to not just critical opinion but audience response as well. Because
Sometimes that can be really annoying. Like, sometimes you can be like, you know, this is an extreme example, but you go on Amazon and like you've got loads of films that are just, you know,
yeah.
I'm not saying that it's just great as if our opinion is, but yeah, I don't know, like a real classic that's got like 3 stars, and then like a Steven Seagal action film from like 2018 with 5 stars. You know?
Loved it. Yeah.
So audience opinion doesn't always, you know, and popularity doesn't always mean quality either. You know, like 100 years ago, it's popular to watch people get hung. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
So, but I do think it's interesting that, you know, it's almost like this kind of, I don't know, and this might sound a bit, you know, makes it kind of sort of even more trickier to pin definitively what my opinions are on anything. But is it because it's like arty in French, Spanish film? Is that kind of a bit of it? Is there a bit of that in there?
Was there a assumption going into it at Cannes?
It was going to be
It was going to be a classic, and
This is going to have a seal of approval already.
so maybe there was like a kind of almost like that. You know when like a crowd mentality.
Right, yeah.
So it's sort of it's quite infectious, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so one person probably started gasping at the right moments, and then everyone else
Right,
in the
everyone's
room was like, "Oh, this film must be really good. Then I better write a really good review of it." And then it became a Cannes favourite in that way. It's such a that's a cynical way of looking at it. I'm sure a lot of these professional critics have a real like
backbone.
appreciation.
Not like us.
Yeah. Yeah, Angel Has Fallen, 4 stars on Amazon. Go and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go and get that. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I do remember watching. I haven't seen Angel Has Fallen, but I ordered it for someone who liked the sequel to Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen. And I remember the reviews on Amazon of that being like blisteringly good. It was like 4.3. Like Gerard Butler's never been better. And so yeah, sorry, that just kind of it reminded me of that sort of just like
Leave it to us to draw a parallel between Sirât and Olympus Has Fallen.
yeah.
You don't get that anywhere else.
It's
High and
Cinebois
low
exclusive.
now. Holding the two
Absolutely.
at arm's length.
Yeah, I didn't hate it at all.
I didn't. I actually was quite like jazzed when I came out of the cinema.
Okay.
And by the time I'd walked like 20 minutes to the bus stop, my opinion was changing.
Okay.
Which is weird. That hasn't happened. Usually it takes a bit longer than that. But
Yeah.
it didn't go into the realms of like thinking this is shit or crap.
I'm
or
quite-
any other kind of word that symbolises poo. I just
Fecal.
fecal. This is fecal. This is fecal matter. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't quite. Yeah, as an attempt to be vague, it doesn't really work. It's at odds with its own pointedness, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just over relies on this kind of thumping, techno-drenched, sweeping, arid vistas that, whilst technically proficient, don't really, I think, serve the film.
Yeah.
A preoccupation with aesthetic, which I think is becoming increasingly more and more easy to be telegraphed. For me, anyway. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No. I mean, I always appreciate a good-looking film.
Of course, yeah, on a technical level,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I think for like 80-minute to 90-minute films, sometimes that can literally be enough for me. I'm like, well, that was beautifully shot, and it was quite short. So
Yeah,
this
yeah,
wasn't. This was
that's
2
true.
hours. This was over 2 hours. This film. So
Fucked it.
yeah,
an
it
hour.
did overstay its welcome a little bit, and actually that was only punctuated by the fact that the ending had a set piece, and I will call it a set piece because it was the landmine set piece, which has been done to death. It was done quite effectively, but it has been done to death before.
Yeah.
That's almost that cliche of the soldier stepping on a landmine and being like, "Oh my god, I'm on
Yeah,
stepped on a landmine." But yeah, that kind of thing. It smacked of that a little bit. It's weirdly the funniest sequence in the film as well. It's sort of. Do you think that they tried to? There's a bit of humor in it.
Yeah.
Because of the meaninglessness of it all.
Yeah, that is exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The meaningless is, there's kind of like, a lot of people online were lamenting this kind of grasp at kind of nihilism. It's a very sparse film,
Yeah.
but deliberately so, and as a result, feels rather performative in that department. I think I felt. Anyway.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Sorry, Oliver.
Sorry, John.
Outro.
Yeah, outro. Yeah.
Cool.
Questing the cinematic void.
There we have it then.
Yeah.
John Frankenheimer's Sirât.
God, I love John Frankenheimer.
Yeah.
Seconds is another good film of his.
Okay, is it tense?
Very.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one of my favourite ever films.
I'll have to watch that.
I've got it
as
on
well.
Blu-ray. So,
Mate.
yeah.
Not
pretty
for
cool.
long. It'll be at my house forever. Can I have that Blu-ray back?
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Next week, I think we should do the Frankenstein one. What's it called?
The Bride.
The Bride.
The Bride!
We
Exclamation
literally
mark.
just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Quite polarizing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Directorial effort. Not at first. The Lost Daughter. I quite like that actually.
I've not
Pretty
seen
good.
it, so I might give that a go.
Jesse Buckley, Olivia Colman. Decent. It's a decent film.
Jessie
It's a
Buckley's
bit
riding
Netflixy.
high. I mean, she's everywhere at the moment.
I know. Yeah.
Slightly apprehensive about that because that tends to mean they end up in lots of stuff. But then I don't know. I think she has a bit more. I think she's choosing projects a little bit more kind of carefully than someone that like Florence Pugh probably did.
That's true. This is a bit of a swing. This one though, I think.
Swinging
Like,
for the fences kind of movie. It had that vibe. The trailer definitely did. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure by the trailer, to be perfectly honest with you.
I liked the design of the like ink in water stuff.
Yeah.
From a design perspective, the trailer was really well managed. But from the film, it's come out at a weird time because there's been a recent Frankenstein adaptation. And
I mean, it already looks like it has. I mean, again, I think I said this at the end of the Did we do a Frankenstein episode? No, we didn't. I just
no,
made it
but
up.
we've talked about it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think at the end of some episode we did.
best of 2025.
Ah, yes. It already at least it's got a bit more balls about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a fair thing given the film's about femininity to say, but what I mean is that it's
Yeah.
it's got a bit more. It's got taken a bit more license with it,
I think so. Yeah,
which is I think already probably going to make it more interesting to me than Del Toro's attempt.
yeah,
'Cause it was very paint by numbers, I thought.
yeah. I'm intrigued. I am skeptical, but I like the fact that these kinds of films are being made. It's not projected to earn a great deal of money.
No, but it's another Warner Brothers thing, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Is it
Oh,
Warner
okay.
Brothers?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Because I saw the logo, the inky water.
So
Warner
I mean,
Bros.
yeah, I did see an IndieWire article actually saying like, yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it's not doing that well, but we shouldn't be too cynical about it because at least it's something else, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the point of the article. I didn't read it. Sorry,
Skimmed it.
David Elric. Is he the guy he's the main reviewer at IndieWire, isn't he? Yeah. Come on. You if you fancy it.
I just got some serious cramp then. Apologies.
We might have an injury, so we might need you one day.
I think I just about saved it just then.
Oh, good. So yeah, I'm intrigued. We'll give it a go. I know we started the episode. We said we don't how sort of America centric we've been with our films. But
Yeah.
I think if anything, it just means we need to go to the watershed a little bit more. We need to brave those really shitty film times. Although I went to see this on Sunday and it was on at 10:30.
Okay.
And that was quite nice.
Yeah. No.
Sunday morning film. I prefer a Saturday morning film because a Sunday morning film's tinged with the dread of an upcoming Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We could definitely endeavour to squeeze a more broader range of films in.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Despite the fact we're doing Bride next, but
That's right. It might be the best film we've ever seen.
it could be.
I always say that. Yeah.
You do say that.
Yeah, I do
admire
say
your
quite
optimism.
a lot. yeah.
Right. In the meantime, thanks for getting to the end of an episode.
Thank you very much.
Please, can I remind you to get on this poll?
Yeah, do.
I mean, I don't know if it would have been finished by the time this episode comes out, but yeah, we're really keen to see how it's going to be an experiment.
Yeah, I think so. But one that hopefully will pay off. And yeah, I'm excited to see what wins for a start, and then excited to record it as well.
There's been some interesting choices, some of which I've really oh god. But
got to include them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're at the mercy of our audience.
Indeed.
And that's the idea.
Yes. So we fudged the
Yeah.
stats.
Next episode, we're not doing it. Right, we're not doing
Watching
it.
paint dry. Right.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Cheers.
Look after yourselves.
Bye.